If this is your first time joining us, my name is LB. I'm the founder of Factor 8, as well as Girls Club and Legacy. And yeah, I'm just clearly delusional in how many things I'm trying to do at once. And I'm really excited to have the bartender Brad as my co host today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, hey everybody. Brad Truran, been with Factor 8 now for about 4.5 years, inside sales for dating myself, nearly 28 years. Excited to be a part of this session today. Have all kinds of thoughts around management.
That's you're just awesome at it. Brad works with so many of our clients and goes in and does the hands-on management training. I see a bunch of girls clubbers here. That makes me so happy. You guys know John Healy on the team as well, and he works with Brad. So here we go. I'm dying to know if you guys know what your type is. If you haven't done the quiz already, use this QR code or just type it in factor8.com/quiz. And we're going to share our different types with each other in a couple of minutes. So get that done now if you haven't, because you're going to get a heck of a lot more out of this webinar and you're going to get all kinds of great resources as well. If you're new to Factor 8, 30 seconds, we've been around 16 years. I started this after a long career in sales leadership and enablement leadership, and I was frustrated that I couldn't go buy the content that my teams needed. They were coming out of training with tons of knowledge on like the product and even the industry and the company, but they couldn't sell the stuff over the phone. So that's what started Factor 8. My very favorite thing to do is to help reps build careers in sales, to help them love coming to work. And that transition from rep into manager is where my heart lies. And of course, that's what Girls Club is all about. And we'll share information on that in a second as well. So a couple logos for you there. If this is your first shot, we'd love for you to come back and drink with us more often. We do a sales shot every single month. You're going to see Brad the bartender more and more often. We do panels as well. Jax, you crushed it last time we did that. These are the next two coming up. You can register for them into the future so that you're notified. Hit the link or the QR code to make it happen. Are we ready? Here we go. All right. I'm going to ask you to guess this question. Go ahead and chat it in for me. What percentage, according to a LinkedIn poll last year, of managers are reporting burnout right now at work? Type in a number. It's a percentage of managers who are feeling burned out. And Amy, launch the poll for us. We're going to see what guesses come in. And I'm interested. Nobody's got a guess right now. What do you think? We can answer the poll. Is it getting harder? Is it getting easier? The number, by the way, is nearly 50%. Isn't that interesting? And our poll is telling us the same thing. We've got a couple people left to enter a vote. I'm going to close it in 3, 2, 1. The folks who have gathered here to make themselves better agree. Ugh, it's getting harder. Wow. So a lot of people talk about the fact that it's the hybrid work environment. I think that sales is getting harder because of all the noise. I think our reps have a very different profile than they used to. If you've got a comment on why it's getting harder, drop it into chat. And Jax, you were right there. I'm loving 70%, 70%. So not as bad as that, but you guys are feeling it out there in the trenches, and I love it. That's so the case. We're going to get started on our first type of sales manager. So if you're still in the background taking the quiz, that's cool. We're going to get you there. Don't worry. It's, take a moment, get it finished. We're going to start with the powerhouse. But before we do that, Brad, I'm going to ask you your feedback on this, right? You're working with managers every day across at least 20 companies, right? Maybe 30 a year. Is this
Yeah,
number getting higher? What do you think?
it's interesting. Yeah, I do think the number's higher, and it's interesting that we see that reflected in the chat with a few numbers as high as 76%. So the reality is frontline sales managers have tough jobs. I see it day in and day out. They're spread thin. There's not enough hours in the day. They're taking on too much. Unfortunately, what happens is the most important parts of the role get buried and become less and less important. Effectiveness starts to wear off, and here we are, burnt out. So yes, I think it could even be higher than 47%.
Yeah, I bet if we were to repoll that now, listen, that's what our results say, that's for sure. All right, let's tune in. We're going to start with manager type number 1. Type power into chat if you got powerhouse as your type. And I'm just going to own that right now. That's my type. So Here's what it looks like, right? Hashtag get shit done. Powerhouses, you are busy. High achievers, you're a driver. You are an executor. You get more done in a day than anybody else you know. You do well under pressure. This one, as it came out, I have to tell you, I had to take a moment. A chronic improver. Brad, you've worked with me for almost a decade. Am I a chronic improver?
Every possible nook and cranny of anything, you're finding ways to improve it.
And people used to take it personally, like, "Why do you redline all my stuff, LB?" I'm like, "I redline my own stuff." Like, it's I can't stop. But seeing this now, even though I wrote the damn quiz, it really helped me hone in on, hey, this is what people think of you. And some of these are strengths and some of them not so much. Priority juggler, oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah. Well, I've got a lot of powerhouses coming in here. Let's go, women. Ugh. So let's jump in and talk about what the strengths are and maybe some of the gaps. So let's walk through this really quick, right? When you're a powerhouse, you create this culture of high performance, right? You are getting things done, you're getting it on time, your work's getting things done. You're a fantastic problem solver. You're also an owner of things, right? Nobody has to worry about you passing the buck or not getting it done on time, which means you're fantastic at leading by example. You're also pushing the team to be more, to deliver more, to exceed their own expectations. And I know I got that feedback a lot as I was coming up. Brad, how do you spot a powerhouse, right? You're working with a team of managers at the company. What makes you go, yep?
Yeah, a few things come to mind. Like these are always the folks that typically ascend quickly in organizations and, easily work their ways up the corporate ladders. They have high expectations. One of my biggest mentors is a powerhouse. It's the person I'm typically wondering if I'm going to be able to keep up with them. They're always doing the right things and they don't have that running around like a chicken with their head cut off approach that a lot of managers do. That's how I typically identify the powerhouse.
Ah, got it. They're a little more centered, a little more focused.
Absolutely.
Interesting. I like that. I like that. Yeah, you're on mute, Shiloh. I don't hear you, honey. You're all good. All right, let's talk about the gaps for me, for my other powerhouses in here. What are the risks? Well, burnout is real. Okay. Even though managers are sometimes feeling burnout, if you're a powerhouse leader, you could be driving some of that burnout. I'm just going to say I on the rest of these. Micromanagement. Because you're so good at GSD, it's a lot. Are you giving things out? Are you delegating? Are you helping the team rise and develop more independence? So the fact I know I'm a powerhouse and I GSD, I sometimes feel bad delegating, like I'm giving too much. So it's easier for me to just own it because I work fast and I work hard and I'll get it done quicker. And I don't want to overburden other people because I know I have a tendency to do that, but that gets in my own way here. The other thing, of course, is coaching. We're undervaluing that coaching time, right? Because it's more about getting things done and a task list than it is about people's development. And there it is again in collaboration. Brad, what's your commentary here?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned coaching. That's exactly what I was thinking about here. We've got a course in our mix for managers called the coaching model. It gives you some structure to how to deliver appropriate coaching. And in it, we talk a little bit about a common coach catastrophe, as we call it, of the laundry list, right? You have that scenario where you're coaching and it's clear that there's 10 to 15 things that you've identified that need to be fixed. When we talk about setting clear priorities and coaching coaches to focus on just one thing, it's a real hit for managers, specifically the powerhouses. I literally see weight lifted off their shoulders.
Really? Because I think honestly, my first reaction would be like, but they can do five. Why do one when we can do five? But it does, it takes it off their shoulders instead. Interesting. That's interesting. All right. So let's talk about how we can help. We've got our strengths, we've got our gaps. Here are some ideas for my powerhouses. Number one, we're teaching in our courses in Factor 8 to schedule different kinds of touch points. Instead of just having one monthly meeting where you do all of it, separate it out. Make time just for skill coaching or make time just for connection that's different than a results review or a pipeline review. A standard skill coaching form. This is like you said, Brad, we teach just one thing. So in our standard forms, sure, there's a place to grade, but you get 3 attaboys and one thing to work on. That helps keep you from writing the laundry list, right? There's literally, it says one thing, you can't put 2 in there. Setting clear priorities. I find I'm trying to do this more with my team. Like, I know there's a million things out there and I'm always finding new things, but we can add those to the bottom of the list. Let's keep these things prioritized, right? We add a 1, a 2, or a 3. Giving other team members something to own, right? That's delegation, folks. And the idea is doing training as a team, group development that isn't run by you, right? You don't have to be the one in charge, but people can learn and peers from each other. And that's a good thing. Brad, I feel like you're literally trying to not laugh at me right now. Like, yeah, it'd be really great if you do some of these things.
I'm listening to you coach yourself right now, which is
I
great.
know it's so hard. My hands are a little sweaty. Oh, that kills me. So Brad mentioned some classes, we've mentioned some forms, and I got good news, folks, help is coming. So Amy, our brilliant marketing leader behind the scenes, based on your type, is going to be dripping, like this is a look at her behind the scenes. Okay. She's going to be dripping out content based on your type. You can buy the classes. My girls clubbers, you already have access to it. Our current clients, go take them. You've got access in the sales bar. But so many of these tools and things she's going to be giving you are absolutely free and they are there to help you. Cool. All right. So let's check in. I think everybody's had time to take the quiz. Let's find out what everybody is. My powerhouse is you outed yourself. Thank you for that. Amy, I think we've got a poll here to see what people are. Let's launch it. All right. Oh, I'm not allowed to vote. Okay. Oh, I'm full of powerhouses here.
Lots of them.
Lots, right? Okay. We've got 3 of 4 on the board. We don't have the 4th one on the board yet. Interesting. We've only at about 50%. I'm going to leave it open. Get in here and vote at 3, 2, 1. Boom, got it in just in time. Thank you. Here we go. Ending the poll. Look at this. A lot of powerhouses. Then cheerleaders, then quarterbacks. No BFFs here. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Brad, what's your take on this?
Yeah, it's funny. We talked about this ahead of time. It's different from what we expected, and I'm surprised that we don't have any BFFs.
Right? I'm surprised at how few quarterbacks we have. Because I gotta
Agreed.
tell you, I see a lot of quarterbacks out there. Yeah, that's really interesting. Brad, what are you?
I'm a cheerleader.
Yeah, you are. I love that. Yeah, you are. That's great. All right, well, let's talk about cheerleader next. Here we go. I'm not sharing the poll anymore, right? Let's get that closed. Here, Brad Truran, woohoo! You're a confidence builder. We got a lot of cheerleaders out there. Jax, this is you too. I see it. You find people's strengths, you build their esteem, you spread positivity, right? You're the inspirer of the self directed improvement. I love that. And I love that you're out there coaching managers as their cheerleaders. So that's really great. These are fantastic positives, folks. It means you're building cohesive teams, it means you're building confidence. You're creating a team culture that's safe for people, and that's huge. When you reinforce wins, you drive faster growth. Let's be frank, sales is a confidence sport, right? You're crushing it there. You're also boosting your rep loyalty and retention. So, internet high five to my cheerleaders out there. Where are the gaps? Wah, wah. All right, sometimes we resist the tough feedback, right? So, Brad, this is our chance. Maybe I should let you run through this. You coach yourself, buddy.
Oh my
What do you
goodness.
see on this slide?
Yeah, I think it's funny and going through this, I just heard you coach yourself, so I guess I'm ripe to do the same. The first point on here, the team needs the tough feedback to improve, and oftentimes the cheerleader is a little resistant to give that tough feedback. dodging accountability, and it has an effect on the team culture overall. That can be a little bit of a challenge. There's the risks in over focusing on the things that they do well and not putting effort and emphasis on the areas of improvement, right? The things that they need to fix. There's room for improvement on the usage of tools to kind of track where we at, what's going on. And forecasting is a little bit of a challenge for this person. I'm not going to say that was me. I think I had a decent
Was
job there.
it?
I think I'm the
Yeah.
chameleon. I think I bridge all of these, but
We
um,
all have that, right? It's
yes,
like deciding
yes.
who you are on Sex in the City. I got a little Miranda. I got a little Carrie. All right,
Yeah.
aging myself. Hey, I highlighted forecast because the cheerleader is the one who's like, oh, it's going to go great. We're going to get there, but that doesn't always happen in sales, right? So that's the careful part. I'm going to tell you, I definitely went through a cheerleader phase. That's a natural thing for me. You did a good job, and you did a good job. Everything is awesome, right? But the truth was, this was me after hours. I felt overwhelmed, right? So that can happen when we're just out there trying to spread the love instead of looking at reality and having those tougher conversations and grounding in numbers and metrics. When we deny the reality, we worship Kendall Jackson. Not saying that's everybody else, but that was me when I first started. And speaking of first starting, now's the time I'm just going to quickly plug Girls Club. Our love of helping people get into management has a very special program outside of Factor 8, and it is the Women's Unfair Advantage. We've got a group in right now. So many of you are here, which I love. Thank you. Hit the QR code. Applications are open for next year. This is management training for individual reps looking to get into management, or folks who have recently promoted into management, or folks thinking about management. And where we thrive here is recommending someone on your team. Managers, if you know, Amy, can you find us the nomination link? A really fantastic rep on your team who would make a great leader someday. We've learned year after year after year, you have to go to her and say, I think you'd be great. I'm going to nominate you for Girls Club. And we meet her right where she is, the fears and all, and help launch her into management. All right. What else can help our cheerleaders? Here's some of the things you're going to be getting in your goodie bag. The number one class we recommend is called Driving Performance with Goals. This is all about the numbers. This is getting things rooted in reality, and it's translating the big goal into what we can do day to day. And it gives you other things to focus on than just the cheering. Those measurable goals are what you're going to get out of that class. A standard meeting framework is also going to help with the balance. You mentioned the coaching model, and that's a meeting framework you can take to every single course. Or you can also establish peer mentoring teams and help them give each other feedback. You've created this culture of positivity, and that's a way to take it to the next level. Any other comments on this? Brad, anything that's helped you or other cheerleaders?
No, as we talk about this story of the cheerleader, I had a little bit of a story of my own in being a cheerleader myself, and I guess a little bit of a success story. I was leading a team in a SaaS full cycle sales environment, and I had a rep that had to find their own business, run demos, discovery, all the way through
All the
getting the
way. Yeah.
yes. And it was a tough, high pressure sales environment. And this person was fairly green, had some experience in sales, but overall kind of a blank canvas, right? There was somebody that, as a manager, I was excited to work with in kind of mold and shape this person. This company really believed in that kind of boiler room approach of bringing in a manager to get deals across the line. It was a little bit counter to what I believed in, and I wanted to coach reps, and this one in particular, up to be able to do that on their own. And not just turn me the steering wheel, right? I worked with this
Mhm.
guy through every painstaking part of our process and leveraged a ton of examples of him doing things the right way to kind of build up his
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah.
And after a ton of coaching and development and cheerleading, he and I together got him to the point where he was a quota hitting rep. And there's somebody in this webinar today on our team who knows who this person is, and I can't wait to have a conversation with him about it. But good
Oh, that's
example of
interesting.
being a cheerleader.
Yeah. Well, Brad and I were talking offline just really briefly that we think the latest generation of people entering sales and entering the workforce, right, our younger reps need more cheerleading. Let us know in chat if you think that is true or not sure. But I see that. I definitely see that. All right, well, let's talk about our QBs. I see a lot of QBs. I gotta tell you, I it's probably not even fair. I was gonna say, do you think that young women in management are more cheerleaders and young men are more QBs? I don't know. All right. I definitely see both. You're the same. All right. So, quarterbacks, you are a super rep, right? It was clear you got to the top and were a top seller, and that's what earned you the spot in management. So, you're really deal focused. You're the experienced pro. You know how to win. You tell great stories. You are the answer man. You are the saver of deals. It's a natural progression, as nearly all of us were promoted from within, right? Here's where you're killing it. Really deep expertise, sharp instincts. You can map out a path to success for reps. It's kind of what you were just talking about, Brad. Like you knew it, and you were going through every single step, but you can just see here's how we win this deal. Okay. You can give the play by play advice. You can lead confidently with high credibility based on your past experience. So awesome, right? This is really good. How do you spot a QB, Brad?
Yeah, this person, they have all the knowledge, all the experience. They've seen it all, they've done it all. They know what's coming around the corner in every single situation. It's usually the person who was a top rep, and it was just logical to put them into management and leadership because, well, they can surely show somebody how to do it, right? And that's a little bit of a fatal flaw.
Well, let's look at why it's that fatal flaw. Where our QBs need to level up. I got to tell you, folks, I have stood in front of on stages of sales leaders and said, raise your hand if you've made the mistake of promoting your top one. And everyone raises their hand because it is typically a mistake. Now, if you're a QB, I don't want you to fear you're going to get past this, but let's talk about it, okay? How do we like what are the gaps? Your team are going to have big highs and lows. You're going to have some star reps that follow what you do. They become the mini me's and they crush it. But other people are resistant to that. You're not reaching some people on your team. The big advice here is you got to coach the rep and not the deal. We got to let reps learn, right? People have to fail sometimes in order to learn. If you can do more dedicated skill coaching and less deal saving, it's going to help. And even though you've got the experience and you've got all the stories, right? You start to kind of sound like Charlie Brown's mom. They don't want to hear it anymore. A little bit more questions help them self discover instead of the stories. We want to have independent decision makers here. That's the key, right? That's the key. So, how do we do that? This can help. Um, Move to game tape, folks. Stop joining live calls because you cannot resist the temptation to take over or to whisper or to chat what needs to be done. I got to get you in our manager coaching courses. It is a tough behavior to stop. Okay. The quarterbacks have the laundry lists. The quarterbacks have the, hey, do it like I do it. You know how to do it. And it's frustrating that not everybody is doing it your way, but not everybody can. The other thing I really suggest you do is share some of your fails. What? But it's going to foster that continuous improvement and growth mindset throughout the team. You also got to prioritize team skills and you got to designate experts that aren't you. I'm going to show you a hilarious item from my first year in management. This was my team, and we literally had groups of people and what they were good at because we were all new, and we made connections and put somebody in charge. Please take note of the super inspiring team name as well at the top of this. Go 17-9. Hilarious. But it made a difference. It really did. Brad, anything else you want to share on where we can level up as QBs?
Yeah, it's funny on both of these slides, we talk about embracing the failure and super hard for the QB to do that. And it's part of their challenge to go, I'm gonna allow this rep to fail in this moment because there's a massive teaching opportunity at the on the other side of it. And that is so hard for the QB to do. When they can lay that down, that's where some growth can happen.
Love it. Good. I'm seeing comments in there saying, "Hey, I feel like I have a little of this one too." And yes, it's so true. You're going to have a little bit of all of them. These archetypes just help us kind of see our gaps and our super strengths to close those. So don't worry if you feel like you're in a couple of them. The BFF leads with the personal connection, right? They're supremely likable. Your team's environment is casual, they trust, you're approachable. It's really that one on one time with my best friend, my manager. Very often, it's the guy who used to manage the team that they're now leading, right? Brad, how do you spot a BFF?
Yeah, they're connected with people. Sometimes certain people more than others. You know,
Ah,
there's definitely a culture that they've created that kind of resembles family. That's easy to spot the BFFs when that's apparent.
100%, right? And look at this: empathy, recognition, peer support, collaboration, safe space, strong morale. Boom. These are all huge strengths. What are the gaps that are coming? Well, sometimes we can be too patient with the underperformance. When I'm managing my best friend, it's really hard to hold them accountable, which means I'm probably avoiding some tough conversations to protect the relationships. It also means that whether you actually are or not, you will be and are actively being accused of having favorites and spending more time with your best friends. If you used to go out to lunch with everybody on your team and now you manage that team, you got to stop going to lunch with those people who were your best friends. You got to spend equal time with everybody there. So it means you probably need a little bit more consistent accountability and an objective roadmap for how you're going to interact with your team. This is the cadence that we teach at Factor 8, or the class is called Essential Manager Meetings. What are your touches? How often? What are you talking about? So that you're objective and not just casual, hey man, how's it going? Check, we just did coaching. I'm also going to give you a little warning here. The rotten apples on a team really kill the rest of the team. And it's so hard to find them because they're great at managing up. But when you drop a bottom performer, everything changes on the team. BFFs are at the biggest risk of keeping those bottom performers. So, things that can help. We got a class on difficult conversations, the standard meeting framework and cadence, clear expectations with deadlines. It's a skill I'm still working on. Regular performance reviews. We've already talked about stopping the lunches. We've already talked about essential manager meetings. And if possible, move teams. If you're managing your old team, move them. All right, we've gone through a whole bunch of tips here. And I just want to tell you, like, here's the bonus chaser. I've cycled through every one of these different parts, and we bring different parts of us to it. But we can't improve if we don't know what we don't know. You are super smart, you're super accomplished, you know what you're doing. It's how you got this job. But I invite you to keep looking at those gaps, right? Because we can't level up our performance unless we actually know what we don't know. Amy, launch our last poll really quick, right? We're in the training business and we're here to help develop people. And I'm fascinated to know how many folks are getting training at their companies because the surveys say almost 60%. That's less than half of us here actually got job training for their job, which is crazy, right? So you should know, by the way, that we're going to be dripping you all the free stuff. And we want you to take advantage of it. I'm going to show you classes you can go take on your own for like 50 bucks next. But if you want to talk about getting more development, management training, coaching, and tools for your company, chat yes in the chat now, and we will follow up with you and make it easy for you to get a hold of all the free stuff and show you what it looks like to bring in manager training. I don't think a lot of people know that it's available, which is, a little sad, right? All right, one more time, I'm going to give you a shot for the Girls Club QR code, which is awesome. And let's show the poll results first. Here we go. Here's the answer. Yes. Whoa, 11%. That's the lowest that actually got the training. A little bit at 67%, which is great. And 22% saying, nope, we got none. All right, here's a little bit about some of the classes we're recommending for your type. Not sure where to start? Go here. There's a promo code, so you can go check out what it feels like to learn to close some of these gaps, like I said, for under 50 bucks with the promo code. If you're a leader, we've got a page just for you. Tune in here. You've got people of all different types on your team. Go to factor8.com/tools and you can see things, actions, tools, classes, everything you need for the entire team. All right, we're going to sign off here. Brad and I would love for you to connect with us on LinkedIn. If you need help fast, don't forget factor8.com/tools. You can get lots and lots of access to freebies there. Brad and I will hang around if you've got any questions that you'd like to cover before we sign off. We hope everybody has a fantastic day. Thank you for being here with us. Enjoy the tools that we're dripping. Take advantage of them, open them, and use them. Trisha, you're so welcome. We were glad that you were here. We're going to stop share and we're going to stop the record. If anybody has anything we can help with, we're here to help.